Oh, pardon me. Yes, everybody, Western Network, hope you're safe and well. It is Monday. It is lunchtime. So it can mean only one thing. It's the Russie, not the rumour races, the Russie match day ratings. I don't know how far we're going to get through them, I'll be honest. I did a little video this morning, basically talking about the hysteria, the knee-jerk reaction, and I'm not condoning either side, but it was like, oh, come on, it's like, it wasn't even necessarily what side of the fence you're on, but actually it's about just being nice to one another. Some of the comments, like aimed at each, even at me, I get lots of horrible comments, but it's like, we're all West Ham fans. We're all, not one player, not one fan walked out of that game on Saturday and thought, yeah, it's a good game. Not one. That's one thing we could all agree on. Not one fan left the London Stadium and thought, yeah, I like that one. Yeah, it was a good game. Because it weren't. It weren't. That's why I called it the Loppy Horror Show. Actually, originally I offered huffing and puffing, but nothing. Huffing but puffing, but nothing. So, it wasn't a great game. But as always, we do the day after, the night before, is we do the review. We do the ratings. Any of our channel members tonight, actually over the weekend, you'd have got the behind the scenes video I did at the London Stadium for the channel members. And also tonight we'll record the weekly podcast as well, so you'll get that as well. So you lucky members, and then next month is the start of the ex-player interviews exclusive for the members, as well as obviously we'll be providing stuff for you guys for everyone. But every week, every month, channel members get an exclusive evening with. So we're just confirming that, but it should be good. Let's go through some comments. Wonder how many matches. Wonder how many games Loppy will get to fix things. I don't like our running the next few games. Not easy at all. No game's easy, Matt, is it? I don't know. I don't know. As I said on this morning, for me, it's almost like he's still experimenting. And we're still experimenting 5-6 games in, or 6 games if you include the Carabao Cup game against Bournemouth. And there has been. I mean, again, we'll talk about it more in Hammer's headlines, because it does seem that the pressure's been ramped up a little bit internally on him. But it's the same with everyone. Time is an asset which is very scarce in football. You never not many managers or head coaches get time to do stuff. And it is a results-based business as well. So if you're not getting the results, if you're getting the results and you're not getting performance, you could probably, you could stretch that time frame out a little bit longer. But if you're not getting the results and you're not getting the performances, that's when, time does run out. So look, as you said, we've got some tough games coming up. We've had some tough games already. There's no easy game in the Premier League, as we know. We've got Liverpool on Wednesday, which is my birthday, by the way. And then, obviously, after that, we've got Brentford away. And then we welcome Ipswich at home. Brentford away is never a good place. We never play well against Brentford away, but then we never play well against Crystal Palace. And we didn't play well against Fulham away, but both we got results out of. We got 4 out of 6 points there. It isn't beyond the realm of possibility of us going to Brentford and getting something. And then we welcome Ipswich, which is the first side we're up against, who probably are not going to, who are, we've had Villa, Man City and Chelsea. No disrespect to Ipswich, is a good side, but they're not Man City. So I think then we'll have a true reflection. And hopefully by then we'll have, maybe by the weekend we'll have a fully fit squad based, hopefully touch wood, nothing happens on Wednesday either. So that's why I'm sort of like, let's just put a pin in it for a little bit. Mark, good afternoon to you. Pete, I hope you're well. Hope you are well indeed. Can't sit on the fence as you get splinters. That's always, I'm not sitting on the fence, Peter. I think it's fair enough to criticise both sides. I can see why people are frustrated. I can see why people are happy to give time. And I'm not bothered about people's opinions. It's about how they respond to people's opinions. That's the thing that always gets me. And I think as people who are in the public domain like me, it's allowing people the space to have both sides of the argument and also to be able to criticize each other, but not get nasty. That's the issue I've always had. So we all hope you're well after us for a very wet summer. It's in and out in Hornchurch today. It's been raining. It's been sunny. It's now sunny, but it'll probably rain in a minute. And everyone was the best player when he came on. Sounds good. All agreed. Diabolical can't talk about sack yet. Agreed. We need to get on with what we've dealt with and stop the fan base bit. Was obviously it's going to happen. It was going to happen regardless, Mark, wasn't it? Because people will split hairs, and there's been a divide since the David Moyes era, and unless we were top of the league and playing expansive football, there's still be people who wouldn't be happy because it's West Ham. It's West Ham, and it's the same with every other club. I was listening to some Man City fans complaining about drawing against Arsenal and they should have been beating them. With 10 men. You always get it. So do you think after the next 5 games and we get 4 points, do you think J-Lo should go? It's not my place to say, Ray, to be honest, is it? And it's none of our places to say in terms of we don't make the decision. The decision is made by the board and made by, Tim Steindl and the board and all them a lot. So, look, at the end of the day, results don't lie. I mean, look, how's Sean Dyche still got a job? I don't understand that. I think Southampton will be. I don't think he'll be. There's other managers in terms of winning the sack race, but by spending a lot of money, it's the same thing that happened with Pellegrini. We spend a lot of money, so therefore things tend to. And I'm saying it's very similar in some respects. I mean, Anton made a good point the other day. We're just really static on Saturday. As I said, I still think he's trying to find out what formation he's working with, what the players are, whether that was naivety in terms of the capabilities of the squad. I don't know. We've had a few injuries, granted. I think maybe, people go, we should have signed Duran. There's no guarantee that us signing Duran would have been the answer to all our problems in the same way. It's an easy step-off point in a discussion, but hindsight's a great thing, isn't it? And that could have derailed what we're trying to do. But at the end of the day, we've got the hand we've got to be dealt with now. So we shall wait and see. Morning, Ralph. I think many of us have been last year's football and it hasn't improved. It's hard to be positive. I get that. Totally. And it has been. I mean, I don't think anyone came out of the game on the Chelsea game, with any sort of positivity. We just got turned over 3-0 by a London rival, and I don't think we really troubled them much, really, at all, to be fair. Not bad, mate, not bad. Personally, I'm avoiding the call to sack him until the Spurs game. If it turns around by then, fine. If not, really discussion. I think that's fair enough, mate. I think, with a turnaround of 22 players, turnaround in ins and outs, there's going to be gaps. There's going to be gaps in terms of maybe experience within the team, gaps in terms of Premier League experience as well, leadership experience. I think that's still an issue. And I think by then, I think we've had a fair run. We've played some games, played some sides who maybe less, the likes of Ipswich, who are no mugs, but in comparison to Man City, they're not, chalk and cheese. We'll see. But also, I think Wednesday is going to be a real indicator, because one of the issues many people had with David Moyes was basically throwing those cup games. And if we go up to Anfield on Wednesday with a side that it's almost like I'm more worried about the Brentford game, that I think will get a lot of people's backups, because we haven't got Europe, so we really should be trying to win the Carabao Cup, or trying to progress as much as we can in these cup competitions to have the easiest chance of qualifying for Europe, easiest chance for Lopetegui to get a third year on his contract as well. So even if the league does go into shit and he gets sacked after the first season, he's still got 2-year payout, because it automatically kicks in, doesn't it, if we qualify for Europe, I believe. So that to me is going to be a real indication in terms of stepping where we are now compared to where we were 12 months ago. Lop has taken a big job. He's trying to completely change how the team play. He he's just given a while where he might change the level. As I said, I think for me, you get a situation, and I've said it before. It's like some of the players, as soon as they cross the line at London Stadium, they just revert back to factory settings, and it's almost like muscle memory. So it's trying to unmuscle memory what to do, and where the newer players, arguably a bit more open, it seems the older players or the old guard aren't really. I mean, you look at the lineup on Saturday. It's probably about 10 out of the 11 players that we would have already picked. We'd have probably picked Todibo instead of Mavropanos, but as we said, he's not ready, whatever that means. But that was the quote I was given firsthand. But it's just those patterns of play. I haven't seen any patterns of play. I haven't seen any consistent patterns of play that I can say that's the way we're playing. It's Moyes 2.0, nothing different. I mean, we had chances when we conceded twice. You want to hide into nothing. Totally agree, Matt. But everyone has those games as well, though. I'm looking at the game as a game in isolation until it becomes a pattern. How long till we see signs of organisation? I agree. I still don't think Bowen's the right person for the captainship. I'll be honest. In fact, I was listening to Matt Kilman after the interview of Bean Sports. I thought he spoke very well but that decision has been made, and it will be the wrong decision to then take it off him. The season's transitional, and as long as we don't get relegated, hopefully we get a crack next season when players will be all gelled. I think. I mean, I still think we've got a chance. I still think we'll be in Europe by the end of the summer, by the end of the season, in some guys. And that should be what we need. Yes, transitional, granted, but we've got some good players, and with no Europe, we should have a good chance, particularly with the cup competitions. Can't see us getting as many as 4 points. Brentford, Ipswich, Spurs, Man United away, Forest away. They're all sides that could turn us over, apart from Ipswich maybe, and Forest maybe. Brentford away is never a good place. Spurs away would be a good game. Man United at home, fancy them. That's what I want to do. I want to start getting a situation where I fancy us playing anyone at home, and we haven't got to that situation yet. We'd always likely pick up a point or, against those teams at home, not necessarily away. The club will know the fans will be loud and proud if the team turn up. But yeah, it totally will. Ipswich will come and give it a go. They might do. They might want to hang back, and you don't know. Afternoon, Leslie, hope you're well. Afternoon all, no press and high line left us open. I didn't understand the high line against a side which have got the likes of Jackson, Sancho, and Nweke. I didn't get it. If you're playing a high line, the goalkeeper's got to play a high line up as well to try and but then he can be chipped and stuff. So I just didn't get it. But again, it's similar to the Fulham game. Quite early on, it was clear that it wasn't set up right. And then he took off Rodriguez and put on Souček. Whether you agree or disagree with that, he showed he was trying. It's almost like he's trying to throw. I get at times it's almost like trying to throw enough mud at the wall and see what sticks. In terms of the right balance, I think in defence, once Todibo comes in, defence is okay, but it's that midfield and the forward line, just the balance. We seem to be either one way or the other. And if anything, at the second half of that Fulham game last week, proved, having a ball player in the midfield is what we need. We can't have a defensive midfield and attacking him up front and there's just gaps in between. I've said the other day he's got till Christmas to get working and up the table a bit. No idea. The players look confused. I think it's like, it's muscle memory. I think it is. I think a lot of these players have been moised, to give it the term, give it the right verbiage. And I think that's going to take time to readjust. He's been playing so used to playing one way for the last 4 years. Someone like Thomas Souček or someone like that. I thought Souček had an half decent when he came on, was actually all right. But I just, it's like, and then you're chasing the game, your heads are down. Then, the likes of Kudus, but they're trying to do it all. But collectively as a team, we've got a good side. It's just they just don't seem. They look like a side that have basically been thrown together, and in all intents and purposes, a lot of them have at the moment. We've got practically we'd have 3/4 of a new back four. We'd have number 1, 2, 3. It was about and that takes time, and I don't think we've had. And that's why we wanted to get some of that. There's probably a reason why Max Kilman has come in and slotted in like he's been playing for us for years, because we got him quite early on, didn't we? Really, compared to everyone else, and he's Premier League ready. So you haven't got that sort of adjustment period, which is what we've got with Jean-Claire at the moment. We've got this sort of adjustment. I mean, Lopetegui, it was I think it was Sean put on something. He was saying that Lopetegui thinks he's not physically strong enough, he's not tough enough yet. The Premier League is a physical league. Everyone we spit all the new guys and new people coming into the Premier League say how physical it is and how that takes some adjustment period, particularly with centre half. You need to be tough. Definitely bottom six instead of any kind of top six this season, says Peter. Ever the optimist. I get the coach sets tactics. Players need to take a look at themselves. They're professional. Should he's put a shift in? Yeah, you're right. I mean, I didn't feel. A sweeping statement, but I didn't feel across the board that we seemed to put effort in. It didn't seem usually if as I said, if we huff and puff and it just seemed it was all trying to. I don't know. It's never easy when you can see so early on, and then you can see too so early on, and then we always seem to be obviously on the threat of the counter. So we had that in the back of our minds, and just didn't see the fight from the wrong type of fight. Alvarez was telling Enzo that he was going to kill him afterwards. I was going to see him after. That's not what you want. You want someone who's just going to. I mean, Bowie made a really good point actually on his TNT interview. He was saying that none of us left any on anyone to say it didn't look like it was London Derby from the West Ham perspective. No fight. That's the thing. I can't get my head around was why there was no fight. Was it a lack of leadership at the beginning? Was it not, ramping these blokes up? You can imagine if that was under the stewardship of Mark Noble, for example, as a captain, he'd get them all up for it, and he didn't seem up for it from the start. And Chelsea basically did what we should have done. If we'd gone out early doors and pressured their backline was crap. It really was. Say not as bad almost as bad as ours, but we never really pressured them. But they were passing. They had bloody Cucurella playing as a centre half. You know what I mean? It's like, and that was the issue then, because we had sort of a physical, like an Antonio or like a Fulkrug up front, knocking into Cucurella and stuff like that. That would have made a massive difference. But as long as there's three worse teams, I'm not worried about form. I'm worried about the players. Like none of them knew what they were supposed to be doing. Everton have got their mate to sack Dyche. They maybe a year older, but never get rusty. Indeed, I just get into my prime. Olden, not golden. Golden, not older. What exactly are they doing? I don't know. That was the thing that sort of surprised me when we came up the international break and Mavropanos came straight into the centre half position alongside Kilman. In essence, himself and Todibo and Emerson and Wan-Bissaka had a week and a half, 10 days, just them four, which I thought it made perfect sense to introducing them. Going to play a high line, use quicker centre backs. I agree. Not playing as a team unit is a serious problem. You're right, and it's a point I made talking about Mavropanos. Whether he was, and someone put it right in the comments, whether maybe he was told to do that. There were several times where he'd almost try and get a toe end on the ball. So, like the defender, so the attacker would be inside their half usually, and the ball would come to him, and Mav would come behind and try and get a toe end to sort of break, but I reckon that was success about 50% of the time. The other 50% of the time, literally, they would go round him and then be almost clear through and goal. And actually, the third goal did happen because of that. And so it was like, that doesn't help me. That doesn't help me at all. And he could have been. He could have been asked. He could have been asked, maybe. However, I don't think he was. I just don't know if he was, to be honest. I don't know. I'll take missing out on Europe if he gets it right next season. I think we need to be in Europe, Matt. I think if we want to progress, I think we have to be in Europe. Otherwise, it ain't going to help. It ain't going to help us. I think we've suffered a little bit in terms of Tottenham, for example. Tottenham would have, if he was in Europe, may would have come to us a little earlier than he did, maybe because he was holding out for Juventus and a few other people. Turned us down maybe because we were in Europe. I think we misinterpreted the impact that Europe has on players, particularly from different leagues who maybe aren't not au fait with West Ham yet. If you say we're in the Europa League or in the Conference, or that gives you a bit more of a pedigree maybe when you're competing against other sides. Looking at the first 6 games, we just don't look fit enough. Yeah. No, Louisa ain't playing, mate. Louisa ain't going to play. Louisa's not very good. New performance at Liverpool, even if we lose, we need something to. Well, I mean, let's see. We don't even necessarily need to win the game. It's just crazy. I mean, we came at that Man City game having lost 3-1 with a lot of positives. If we'd given Liverpool a good game and say it's a close game and maybe they got not, nicked the odd goal, or maybe they're really sort of pushing and we had shots at the bar, VAR, something we can moan about that's not the team, then I think there's green shoots there potentially. But that's what we need. That's what we need. We need something. Now, the trouble is when we play Liverpool, there will be a different side, probably for Liverpool as well. There'll be some new players. Maybe Soler gets a start. Maybe even Todibo gets a start potentially. Maybe Fulkrug will be back. I don't know. Maybe Guilherme, as you said. It just seems that we need something. We need a performance. Charles, if we don't get Europe, a lot of players. Yeah, I totally agree. At the moment, we're like a promoted side that don't know what to expect. Maybe so many new players, possibly. But the thing was, Michael, it needed to be done. It's almost like we had to pull that band-aid off. That squad needed a major shake-up. And as I said, over 20 men, 22 men, something like that, shake-up. Players out, players in. And we still got a few we need to get rid of, to be honest. But it needs to be done. So we've ripped the Band-Aid off. So it is a transitional season. It is a developing season. But it's a season we still, even though we're transitioning, even though there's developing, we still need to end up in the top half. We still need to end up in the top 8, in my eyes. For that, it's that reason Will said, it's getting the players to rebuild for next season as well. Because the likes of, we've got a lot of players out on loan. You still got people like Sue Fowl will be out of contract. Cress will be out of contract. Antonio will be out of contract. Danny Ings will be out of contract. So, yeah, there's equally a rebuild job needed for next year as well. Players leave, Europe or not, will pack dropping for every game. But then they hit on once and they've got to pay 85 million, don't they? If it all happens. And they have been very, very poor this year. Just hope they don't lose to it or we'll keep banging. I totally agree. One side positive said played what he did, and we'll talk about that at Hammer's Headlines with everyone else who's been who's part and parcel of that loan system. Don't know what's going on with our players, but they don't seem to be focused. Been a ghost. I mean, the captain who's vocal and commanding. I think we need that as and again, it's something I talk about all the time. We only see a 90-minute microcosm of the West Ham squad. We see what's playing on the game and how the players react on the pitch. We don't know what Bowen's like behind the scenes in terms of a captain, and I'm not doing a witch jump on Jared Bowen at all, but we don't know. He might be a really, I don't know. He's had the stewardship. Mark Noble's still around in terms of showing him how to be a captain. But it's not just him. I mean, someone like Souček, he's a Czech Republic captain. I think Mats Kilman's a commanding presence. Someone like Guido Rodriguez has been there and done that. He's won the World Cup. Aaron Cresswell's still there. Emerson's probably at one of the elder statesmen now. Fabianski's still around. I think Wan-Bissaka's done it at most levels as well. So there are people, Fulkrug as well. He's an experienced member. Ings, we do have experience, but maybe it's just I think we as fans like to see a captain shout and rant and rave, and in the same way that we like that of our managers or head coaches on the sideline, we like them to You don't like him sitting down. That was one of the criticisms always, wasn't it? He always sometimes he wouldn't get up very often. He'd sit down and watch his monitor. As fans, we want to see they care, and the way they care would be scrap ranting and raving. Rebuild, adjust, rebuild, adjust. Totally right. Totally right. What she said. What she texted me. Okay. What I can understand, sorry, it's Flo just texted me, was we normally up our game, but we seem to be on our shell for some reason. I don't think, I just think it's a little bit of the players don't really know what's going on. That's what it looked like. It looked like we were 11 individuals. And there was one or two with patterns of play, but it was almost like there was conflicting ideas. And I still think it's that whole, muscle memory thing. Whereas, Kilman, I thought Kilman probably had a not bad game, to be honest, compared to maybe Mav. And he was trying to instigate stuff, and you could see pushing. But as Anton said, there was no one from midfield wanting it. No one trying back to pick up the ball and play. I just thought it was a bit just flat. For everybody who keep faith, we always do. I always do, my friend. You know me. We've all said this is a massive rebuild, so let's not carry it away. Calls it to get things going. Yeah, that's fair enough, Ken. But I can understand why people are pissed off. I was pissed off at the game on Saturday. I think everyone, there isn't a single person, a single West Ham fan who weren't pissed off about 2:00 on Saturday. And I think sometimes you get a knee-jerk reaction. Social media is great for that knee-jerk reaction, and things then get things that retweeted and shared and liked, and then sometimes you go back and read. I don't tend to do like anything. We'll do the walk around the pitch, get people's views, but then I tend to always tend to look at things afterwards. I watch the game again. I watch the highlights. I listen to what people say, and then come up with my own thoughts afterwards, rather than just go on X and just rant. Doesn't benefit. It gets out your system, but it doesn't benefit anyone, does it really? Should have brought Ings at half time and gone 2 up. It was obvious Chelsea would score early in the second half. Indeed. Question: subs when Loopy using Creswell's magic hat, they seemed like he was throwing players on for the rehearsal sake of it. I kind of had that same feeling as well towards the end. I think Michael. As I said, I think he's throwing stuff up and seeing what mud sticks. I think Cress needs. I thought, what's the point of putting Cress on? Unless Emmy had taken a knock. Although saying that, it was great to see Irvine coming on. You know what I mean? It's his Premier League debut, it's his dream. As I said, I still think he's got, and he's got something which Thomas Souček ain't got. Physically, I think he's probably about the same height as Souček. And he's got more reliable shot on him. He can drop the shoulder. He can play it. I'd love to see him getting some minutes on Wednesday. I'd love to see him in the midfield on Wednesday just to see how it's all working. Because I think he can make a big difference. I mean, during pre-season, he was doing really well. Alvarez, Soler and Irvine midfield 3. Drop Mavropanos as well. I think you probably would. I wouldn't be surprised if you see that on Wednesday, in all honesty. It looks okay, but seemed to reset on game day. I think it's very different in it from training. I think and the club also release the videos they want to release. I'm sure there's highly edited as well. It just needs a bit of a kick up the arse. That's what I want. Hopefully, this Chelsea game has given everyone a kick up the arse. We got out of jail for the Fulham game. This Chelsea game, I just think we need to. It's almost like, right, that was the worst. I've seen a lot more worse games than that. If that's the worst that we get under Lopetegui, I'll be happy with that. If it's the worst, if we then lose heavily against Liverpool, maybe pick up a point, maybe at Brentford away, maybe draw Ipswich, and the results are still a bit meh come the time we play Spurs, for example, or maybe the time we played Man United at home, then I think there's a different conversation. But until then, not not involved in any anti-conversation with Lopetegui at the moment. I can't understand bringing Ant on when had scored. I just think ladders. I think it's that physicality up front which Danny don't have, and if you're not going to play that way, then I don't know. As I said, I think I agree with the comment up before. A lot of them look like it was just going on just to go through the motions, almost like a rehearsal. Goals came from mistakes. Stats were in the favour. They were Trini, and again, if you look to the stats, it looked like we had a good game, an okay game. Everything apart from the bloody goal line, goal scores stat. We were passing the ball more. We had more touches. We had more shots, more possession, more corners. But it was just again, it just shows you what happens when you have clinical forwards. Chelsea had, as I said, I think Jamie said, we made Jackson look like prime Ronaldo, and it really was. They were all our mistakes, and they capitalised on them. Chelsea made plenty of mistakes in the back line, overhit passes, things like that. We didn't capitalise, and that was the thing that frustrated me. I think if you'd capitalised on one or two of those chances, it would have been a very, very different game. Very different game. I think this side at the moment, because it's new, feeds off confidence, and there doesn't seem to be any confidence at the moment. They just need Gene up for any game. They should be. People saying bring back Moyes, missing the point of the performance that was exactly how we were playing under Moyes towards the end. Totally right. And did you see on Being Sports talking about, we used to have a good record against Chelsea at home under me. We did. Rush, do you think the touchline antics are just for show or real? I don't think they're for show. He's Spanish. He's hot-blooded. Some people are, Arteta's the same. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think they're for show. I think he's naturally a very highly strung person and a very frustrated person. Because, not being funny, for him, it's he needs to be successful to stay in his job. He needs to be successful against Europe to stay in his job for another year, because then automatically gets a third year added onto his contract. There is a frustration there, and it might be frustration because he sees, it's not what he wants. It's not the style of play he wants. I have no doubt that the way we started playing on Saturday and throughout the game was not part of his game plan at all. People say pre-season means nothing, but Lope's tactics look worrying in pre-season. The idea of pre-season is to warm up, but as I said, from a results perspective, it means nothing because, as I said, Avram Grant won all his pre-seasons. I think Lyle in 85-86 lost all his as well. So, Mavs time per 100 metres, 15 seconds. I'd beat him in a race. 11.2 is my best. I can see why Arsenal got rid of Mavropanos. It was a long time ago there. Lope needs to pick up his first 11. I just don't think he knows what his first 11 is. That's the thing. Because for me, I don't think his first 11 involves playing Bowen up top on his own. That's not his first 11. I think his first 11 involves Füllkrug up front. And it would have been Duran possibly. I appreciate they're completely different players. But, not Antonio. And, I know I dig him out occasionally. He ain't playing well at the moment. He's scored in 8 Premier League games now. He's our striker. Yes, he is the top goal scorer in Europe, because we got in Europe 3 years in a row. Yes, he is our Premier League goal scorer of all time. But he ain't scored in 8 games now for us now. It's not good enough. Isn't good enough. And yeah, he's supplying, and but he hasn't even looked like scoring. None of our forwards have looked like scoring, to be honest. No chance of Europe this season. I think we still doesn't play again. He might want to leave. Milenkovic looking good. But I still don't understand how they got that. That's a cracking deal. Taking off some of it was ludicrous. It was. Not getting Europe was sent a message to new players. The project was missold, quite possibly. He doesn't know his first 11. No green shoots at the moment, just weeds. Very good. Rodriguez not good enough. A massive downgrade in JLP. Different player, mate. Different player. Completely different player. Rodriguez is more of a CDM role. JWP cannot play CDM. Completely different player. If I think that, and again, I think it's a factor of, I don't know what is a factor of actually, because I thought it would have, he came into the side and because of Alvarez's injury, and now he's, starting ahead of, I think there'll be the transitional period, and I think now it will be clear that it will be Soler in that position, and that could start, or even Irvine, definitely. He's had enough time, if you believe. And again, I think he was watching the games and not has been watching training. So I think there was a slight naivety about that in my eyes. Don't want Loppy to revert back to paying park on the bus, scrape a few couple of points. Hope keep trying to play positive, though it's not working. First, to get into Europe is not a right. Any player only interested in being in Europe, we should be signing. We need to sign players who want to play us for us first. It's about, mate, it's a job, though, isn't it? It's their job, Trini. That's the thing now. I agree from a sentimental perspective, but players want to play in the Premier League and they want to play in Europe. And they do. Footballers have got a short lifespan, so they want to play in the top. Meet all their ambitions. And if it weren't for us, maybe it might have been gone to Newcastle or whatever. But once they're in, they then understand. And you get that from a lot of players who, didn't come from the academy. We brought them in. I mean, I did a player night the other night on Friday. We've Len at Dagenham and Redbridge, and it was like the class of 2005-06. There was Dean Ashton, Matty Effrington, Jimmy Walker, Rufus, Darren was there, Dan Blewett, Anton Ferdinand, and obviously Anton came through the ranks, but everyone else had been brought in, and you see someone like Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker we signed. He's only played like half a dozen games for us, but he's like a cult hero. Once they're in, they get in and then they actually appreciate it. And actually, a lot of players, you go, I signed for the club, then I don't know how big the club was, and so. But it's having that sort of carrot in front of having maybe Europe to get them in. That's the issue I think we'll be having if we don't get into Europe. Ironically, we look like Chelsea last season. I agree. Playing with DJ, I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was exemplary. The weekend, I thought he was very good, banging him in some tunes. If that's what 50% of what Chelsea can play, I'd hate to see how they play when they're fully on it. The Champions is the pinnacle. It certainly is. We ain't going to get Champions anytime soon. I agree. Don't blame DJ. We really don't want signing players who don't want to play in Europe. 6 a.m. Are we still ranting about the new coach? Of course we are, Scott. Not even going to get through to the player ratings. Actually, what's the point? No one deserves a pat on the back. Maybe Kudus. But even that sometimes, everyone had a poor game. I think the only way is European is through. Exactly, William. And which is what my point is about tomorrow. No, Wednesday. Point about Wednesday is, which is my birthday, by the way, is he can't be seen to throw that one away. That was one of the major criticisms of Moyes. Would he almost throw the Carabao Cup games and the cup games, domestic cup games, in favour for Europe and in favour of the Premier League? Now, the easiest way to get to Europe this year is by winning the Carabao Cup. Just in terms of how other teams take it, sort of the top 6 teams in terms of their priorities. A number of Premier League sides are playing each other. Obviously, we play Liverpool. The chances are we're not going to get through. But if we do, great. But if we don't, but still have a good performance, then that's the next best prize. But I agree. The best way, the only way we can really, you only got to win like a dozen games in Europe compared to a whole season. Don't get its fixation with 2 defensive midfield players. I totally agree. You'll need to write a song to get into Europe. Fair enough. There wasn't any blood. Yeah, you're right, Mike. There was no no one left any. As Bowie said, no one left any on. But then Bowie, you could have left something on. You could have left something on Cucurella. You could have, So it's all right saying that, but you could have done that as well, mate. You know what I mean? Everyone, we talk a good game. Lopetegui talks a good game. The team talk a good game after the sort of post-match stuff. But I don't want us to talk a good game. I want us to have a good game. Moyes used to make the point of giving clear instructions. It didn't rant. He would make sure he'd clear it. Lop just wobbled on the sideline. Again, I'd love to be mic'd up to see what he's actually saying. But the trouble is, David, those instructions were the same instructions every week, regardless of who we played. And that was one of the major criticisms of Moyes, wasn't it? Going to be like this most season. I'm getting ready for the day, so we're listening. But we are 5 games in with a new head coach, not manager. As a pound for the food bank, please. I expect to stay below 10th until things click. Yeah, fair enough. No, not one positive. From keeps to the front, we look slow, void of ideas, unfit, and made Chelsea look well beaters. What the hell has happened? Nothing appears to have changed much. Well, apart from a 20 or over a 20 player changeover. That's what's changed. If it was exactly the same side, exactly the same 11, and we had that performance, I agree. But a lot has changed. But we haven't seen it on the pitch. A lot has changed. There are many immediate reactions a day, analysis of emotions, not facts. Please, I chose not to go despite having a ticket. It was over by the second goal. The volume of booing, it was. But then, a player we've all wanted to get on is Somerville, and I thought he played all right. But then to be subbed off, fans showed disappointment. Fair enough. Got annoyed. Women circle fans started leaving. Got fed up, getting up and down all the time. Well, Helen, it's you pays your money, you takes your choice. It's an individual prerogative of when they decide to leave, individual prerogative of when they decide to turn up. Some will turn up with 2 minutes to go, some will turn up as soon as the doors open. Does that make them a better fan? No. Does it make them a worse fan? No. It makes them a fan, and they can choose. If you're fucked up, I mean, certainly I'd have probably left, to be honest, if I could, because it was like, what's the point? What is the point? If they're not showing up on the pitch, why should I show up on the sidelines? And I agree. Some people say, "Oh, it's quiet." The fans always turn up, but then it's a 2-way conversation. And if what's going on the pitch doesn't, if there's no life, there's no fight, no bite, then the fans would just drift off the game, and that's what always happens. I don't know what's more confusing to listen to, a thick jock accent or a Spanish one. Poor formation, isn't an inverted wing back. Dino is not quick enough to go high press, and Alvarez should have not man-marked Jackson. Has Emerson not been injured recently? He was. Only a slight knock, yeah, but he still played. DNA is forever present. It will take time for Lopez to stamp his own star. I agree. What do you think of Ibings? I don't know who that was. If we got Amrin, we would be top 3. How would you know, William? That's the thing. You just don't know. Hindsight is a great thing. Whatever happened in terms of who we got in as our head coach, told you so. We hadn't worked, told you so. I still believe that Villa we'd have had to pay a lot more than we were talking to get a Duran in. They gave him the number 9 shirt. And they would have only brought him in if they'd got a replacement for him, which they were nowhere close of getting a replacement for. In the same way that people wanted Fonseca. Fonseca's doing a shit job at AC Milan. Fucking Moyes might be even the next AC Milan manager. Do you know what I mean? So hindsight's a great thing. And things like that, Will, don't help anyone, mate. I know it's an opinion, but they don't help. How do you know we'll be top 3? There'd still be a 25-man sort of like rejig of the squad. I think it's a flippant comment, same as, if we had Duran, we'd have been top of the league. We might have been. We might not have been. Ings scored when the game was nearly over and the team was tired. We have seen him starting games and doing nothing. Totally agree. He's going to continue a few more games. Conceding goals and don't score goals, you lose games. Fickle fan thinking of tapping makes him the main man. He scored, and Antonio ain't scored, Damien. I know he's your boy, but he ain't scored for 8 games now. And ain't looked like scoring. I thought Potato Salad I thought he played all right. Can we explain why the pen was not given? How many? Well, it was actually, you got the full description. I didn't think it was enough contact. It actually comes up on the screen now what the PGMLO say. But yeah, I agree. He said it should have been a penalty, but VAR didn't overturn it. Can we play a new formation? Wrote that tie off. It was announced anyway. What? Can we play my formation? Okay. Do you know? Send it in. Send it in, Damien. Because I mean, we're all experts here, aren't we? Wasn't a well ref game, but we've had much worse. We have people talking about JLo's antics. Pep kicked a chair and was doing the usual rant. Yeah, exactly. That's what he does. Yeah, he says they're very animated. They do. I don't think it's a fakey at all. This club is going nowhere fast. With 5 bookings, can we expect another fine for the ML? I think ML. I think you get one naturally already. Do you think they refused to give the penalty on the basis that everyone's decision wasn't wrong enough? Yeah, I agree. You scored loads. He's dried up. Candy's flip flops. We don't have anyone good enough to play up top and alone. I think we're better playing 4-3-3. Drama defeat to match home defeats last season. That's a good point, Peter. Terrible performance, terrible antics. Got subbed. He did. He only played first half, then got taken off. Antonio's a sub. That's it. He hasn't been a consistent goal scorer in over 2 years. Has played more than most people. I agree. Regarding Europe, do we think we can win a cup, Russ? I just can't see it. I think we can win a cup. I really think we can. I think we should be going all out to win the Carabao Cup, in all honesty. It's the easiest way to get into Europe. And I still think when we click, we'll be all right. I think I genuinely think it's a minimum requirement this year. For all is there something behind the scenes that us don't know? Quite possibly, mate. We don't know, do we? We just don't know. Generally, it's started well over the last, but really looks poor, so can't get him any better. Those that want to play in Europe, with all respect, can F off and do. We just want players who want to play for us, so they actually show on the pitch, not just being passive. If we brought in a new manager and 8 new players, how long would you give them to click as a group? Good point. I'm judging on lineup this season whether I can be bothered to watch. What happened to our set pieces? I know it'd been absolute dire. Chelsea was shit when they looked good. I agree. Not worth doing. No, I'm just going. I know I'm going for all these comments. Was decent, made some good stuff, looked progressive. Yeah, I agree. Before the season, some thought we'd finish by Villa. Not opposite to us. Had a great season and built on it. Looked better. We're mid-table. Nothing's changed. How good is Liverpool's drainage with the rain? Could get called off. There is a lot of rain to me. There is a lot. Lopley hasn't gone. We have Europe as an excuse not to take the cup seriously. I agree. To me, this is just talking over things. Lopez looked clueless from day one, in my opinion. Pardon me. Not easy. The joy is rigged. Normally a top team win the Cola Cup. Even if JLo picks good players, fans are crying for me losing against Liverpool. We're here moaning. I feel some delusion among that as to who we are. I totally agree, Trini. I totally agree. Premier League table based on kickoffs. We are bottom. There we go. I've coached a good game, not just talk it. Okay. A simple stay back for it and see what happens, Russ. What do you think is the biggest change that needs to happen for more success? Biggest change is one CDM. Just play Alvarez. That's all he needs to do. Just play Alvarez. Not like that's it, but play Alvarez and then play the two of Paqueta and Soler ahead of him. Or if you're going to put Paqueta in a 10 role, Soler and Irvine. That's what I would do. Loppe's press conference, second time he said he got it wrong, so is he taking some of the blame? Yeah, well, I think he has. I mean, he said he's taking the blame. That's what he said about the Guido Rodriguez. He went, at the end of the day, if it was me, I think he said something like, it wasn't him. It wasn't his fault he got taken off. It was my fault for putting him on or something like that. Bruce talks a good game. Indeed, let's be honest. One win and afterwards on Saturday. So if you keep changing it, I'm devoid of any criticism. Thought he'd watched us for 6 months prior. Apparently he did. At half time, I went to the Carpenters. If we can't stop the Scousers, it'll be like pinball. Refreshing things that JLo takes ownership of problems. You're right. I mean, to be honest, that is one thing. He'll put his hand up and go, I got it wrong. Whereas Moyes was like, oh, well, the referee. There's always someone else's fault. Where at least Lopetegui taking ownership for the mistakes. But that's only great if then you learn from it. You look at the side we played against Fulham, the side that played against Chelsea, and the mistakes made in the Fulham game, I can say from a lineup perspective, were rectified. You know, he didn't play Souček, he played Paqueta, he put Somerville on, he played Bowen up top, all this type of stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't get the result. But he was willing to adapt. Moyes would have picked the same 11, regardless of what happened. I should have left on Russ. I would have left on that Russ. It was disgusting. Better coach than Lopetegui, cut and dry. It says Damien. Moyes has not had tactics. That's why saying to stay back and seeing that happens the last. Well, we can't be any worse. Never wanted Loppy, and no wonder. Well, there we go. He needs time. Biggest take from the antics and the subs is that some players not playing his system. I agree. We all in therapy. If this continues, we'll see. So we're used to it. Trini, you've done it before. Moyes' tactics, part of the pass behind the shield wall. It's all right saying Loppy needs time, but it's worrying that he doesn't seem to know what he's doing. I can't see at all what he's putting in place style-wise. I agree, mate. I agree. I don't see where... I haven't seen anything to say that's the style. Where do I send my formation and tactics into? Just at westham.co.uk, surely. The only way we're going to win is to be lucky to stay up in the cup. Do you think that the Carrow is now fixed? Hasn't winning it become impossible now? It has a bit. I mean, I was talking to Scully the other day, and he made a really good point. You know, Carabao Cup should be a case where almost like the top six don't even get in there because they don't care for it. You know, if you're in Europe, you don't play in the Carabao, so there'll always be a new winner each year, which I think is great. But the trouble is, it'll have an asterisk, wouldn't it? You won the Carabao Cup without the top six, so I did understand. But feel like we need a reset after 5 games. It's a bit of a sucker punch, but as fans, we need to be resilient. Surely we've had enough of this negative around the club now. We certainly have. Is not a set full playing Paqueta means Bowen playing up top. Some of it was great. Need to keep the same lineup or add Todabo for Mav. What has happened to Patman? I think it's the same as what happened with Souček. Souček was like firing all cylinders, a few years ago. And when we started to play shit, he then was in the firing line because he wasn't getting goals. And I think Paqueta's just seems to be, I don't know if he's trying to take to, or he's just trying to take too much on. I don't know. Loppy's a good talker, but that's how long. But it's that how long do you need to work with the good players? R showed how to park the bus yesterday. Matricio is percentages on the so far. What percentage of pissed off fans and content were Moyes in and Moyes out or wanting Loppy already? Where are the 36 points coming from, says Peter? We need to give Loppy time. It's not easy to integrate new tactics for a team that is used to be playing counter-attack. That's exactly my point, Tom. Exactly my point. As soon as I get a pitch, I guarantee if Souček's playing, reset to factory settings, play David Moyes football. They've been moised for the last 4 years. Lopetegui really has only been here a month and a half. Realistically, it's in pre-season. And for some players, it's if they came back late from international duty and stuff. It's but we did win something though. We did win something. Don't forget, Billy Horschel, friend of the channel, won the PGA Championships yesterday. Very exciting too. Dropped him a lovely message. Well, we go on about win with all the top teams not invited. Yeah, good point. That's a good point actually. That is a good point, Rich. Patman tries too hard. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I'm not going to dig him out, but there's flair and special players do. We've got Brazilians number 10. Well, he's more number 8 now. Main midfielder, why wouldn't you have Luis out? Luis out, mate. He's not good. Not a good player. Luis Guilherme, I understand. I don't understand what's going on with that one, but in terms of Luis out, no. The problem is our midfield so slow because they get the ball. How can it be so slow? Yep, I agree. At least got a win. They did. 4 out of 4. Needs to get his charges off his mind. I agree. Why Diz doesn't need so much time? Don't know. I mean, Enza, Chelsea, yeah. Arnie Slot, there hasn't been much of a changeover, really, player-wise. And they only just brought in one player. Brighton, they brought in a few players. Don't know, mate. Don't know. But easily, Slot might not have worked. Football is about educated risk. In my eyes, you don't know whether a player is going to come in and hit the ground running or might not. Who's to say we got Duran in and he's done what he's done for Villa? Could have done, but he easily could have been another flop, innit? Right, everyone, mate. Don't kid yourself with stats. Totally Castles. Too many fans expecting miracles in 8 weeks. Indeed, number 7, not 10. He's not number 10. He's not number 10. He can do a job there. Can you see a performance coming? If so, for what game? I think I hope to see a different mentality for the Liverpool game. I think even if we do go with a more attacking mentality for the Liverpool game, that shows an improvement on what we had previously in terms of the cup games. Brentford, I think we'll see away from home as well. So again, it'll be the pressure's off. But I think that Ipswich game is crucial to put on a show. Krez ain't good. Mav looks sometimes he's not good. Luisa's not good, mate. Honestly, I've watched him lots of games. He's not. He did Damien just because that wasn't left with the mess that Moyes left. Yeah. Souček must be world class though. Border Duran, indeed. But that's unfortunately what everyone says. What about Duran? I'll answer that question myself. Why don't have time? Because they are better coaches, says Damien. There we go. I think I half agree. They're good coaches, but I think particularly with Slot, they haven't the turnaround that we've had to have, and that is an effect of having 4 years of David Moyes. We've had to then rebalance, sort out that squad. Don't think our squad is as good as we thought. Our bench had no game changes on it on Saturday. We paid 25 million to waste on a player who ain't even training the first team. It's a joke. For me, he is training with the first team, Barry. Luis Guilherme is not being brought in to start. Luis Guilherme is being brought in for next year. We've said that from the outstart. He's not gonna upset the apple. He's not. He's only played half a dozen games in Brazil for joining us. Really, he's going because he's going to be there because the likelihood is in the summer next year, same as Brighton do. We talk about the Brighton model. They have the next load ready. Now, why isn't he playing under 21s? That's a good point. But he is training with the first team though. I don't know where you got that from. How many points from Brentford? Well, it should be 4 points at least, shouldn't he? He's undroppable for the under 21s and he's a chance. You can't, mate. He's droppable. He's droppable, mate. Please go and watch. We got watch him. He just seems to always be panicky on the ball, and he's playing against guys who are a lot younger than him, and he just hasn't got it. He hasn't got it. There's a reason. There's why clubs don't seem to come in from. We've got he can be droppable because you can bring in Josh Briggs. You've got Ezra Mayers coming in. You've got Kalen Casey who can drop back in. You can even move up Edge Colin Beckis. So he can be droppable. No, he was a mistake. Source of knowledge describes him as a defender. I didn't see much defending against Chelsea. Bringing wins will still. He's too slow. I bet you lot never achieved higher than Moyes, bar the season we prioritised the Europa Conference League. I'm all for trying new systems. Has to do this from the start. Trouble is, know the players' positions and lost the plot. Ain't even played. Yeah, that's what I don't get. I think I'd have probably thrown him in. Yeah, but Luisao is not good. He isn't a good player. And as I said, he can easily be replaced. He can easily be replaced in that squad. They were looking to actively get him out in the summer, but the right deal hasn't come in for him. So he's droppable. Put Louis Brown in. He could play that position, no problem. Ezra Mayers can play that position. Josh Briggs can step up. We've still got the likes of Michael Forbes out on loan. He could come back in. He's not getting any game time at Bristol Rovers. It's easy enough to cancel that contract if we needed to. Edris could come up. There's a lot of centre halves. Kaylee can drop back down. So yeah. Anyway, I've got to go, peeps. Take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Keep the faith. And I've got another meeting I've got to jump onto now. Much love.